I hope that helps Grayson Fuller. And number 3, Doug Shannon, what is a miracle? If it can be explained, is it still a miracle? This is actually a real debate that people have, is how do you define the term miracle? So some define the term miracle as a violation of the laws of physics. I reject that definition. There's a lot of problems with it. One of the problems with that definition is that when a miracle happens, is this a violation of laws? For instance, here's my coffee cup. Gravity would pull it down. I lift it up. Now, this isn't a violation of the law of gravity. This is just other laws coming into play. So I think a better analogy would be this. Well, actually, let me give you a story. This is from John Lennox. John Lennox is an very interesting apologist. He has a lot of interesting content. He tells a story about, let's say he's at a hotel and he has his wallet in a drawer in his hotel room, and it's got say $50 in it. And he goes out and, the maid comes and cleans the room, and then he comes back later and he goes and he opens the drawer and he checks, and his wallet is missing the $50. Now, you could say, in this closed system of the drawer, this area here, there's a violation of the laws of physics in the drawer, right? Like nothing within the drawer would cause this to happen. This doesn't make any sense. You can't suggest gravity or inertia or anything. The second law of thermodynamics caused the $50 to go away. And so the obvious solution is you don't conclude the laws of physics were violated. Instead, you conclude somebody opened the system, opened the drawer, and from outside came and changed things. And that would be a better understanding of how God does miracles. One of the ways of understanding a miracle is something that would not have happened without God's intervention. That's a pretty loose term, but I think it works well. So I'm suggesting Jesus's birth through Mary, a virgin, she would never have become pregnant without God's intervention. Now, you could say it violated the laws of physics. That's strange. It's not like the laws of physics actually work that way. It's not like some judge, some police officer with a physics badge is like, no, you can't do that. It's just a weird way to think about things. But obviously it wouldn't have happened without God's intervention, right? Merely if the stuff in the drawer was affecting the stuff in the drawer, that $50 never would have disappeared. But if something from outside the drawer came in, that certainly that thing has the natural power to do all that stuff. Well, God, it's not that he's unnatural. He's just not part of the created order. Right, so if something outside the created order is needed to cause this to happen, you may call that miraculous. That could be, or some would say just a supernatural event. But there's another type of miracle, and I'm open to this being from God as well, and saying and calling this a miracle, and that would be a miracle of God's providence. That is, this happened through natural things, natural events, or perhaps you'd say events all part of the created order can explain this thing happening. But we see God's ultimate providential planning and intention behind it. And then you can call that miraculous because it shows some sort of involvement of God in the thing that's happening. So an example could be, you've lost your job, you need to pay your bills, you have this big bill that's due, it's $1,083.12. And you've got to pay this by the end of the month, and you're praying and you're Lord, I need help. I don't know what else to do. I've tried everything I can. And then in the mail, that next day, there comes a check from someone who just says something maybe it says something like, hey, I sold this thing that we bought together 20 years ago, and I finally sold it. This is half of what it was, and it's exactly $1,018.83 or whatever the number I was. It's to the penny. It's exactly the same. Now, you could trace back the series of events that caused this pretty easily in a natural or, according to the creator order sense. You guys bought something together many years ago. You guys sort of separated as friends. You forgot all about it. He sold it. He cut the selling price in half and sent you a check. But the timing, the exact amount to the penny, the day or the next day, right when you needed it, then you start to think, okay, God's involved here, right? So there's something of an obviousness to God's providence in what's happening here. And I'm okay with calling that miraculous as well. But you see that the word miracle can be squirrely term, a difficult thing to apply. Yeah, do you apply the term miracle to something that Satan does? Like if it's demonic, well, it's not really part of the normal created order, even though they're part of the created order, but they're in the spiritual part of the created order. So I guess you could call that a miracle. So Satan has lying signs and wonders. Okay, that's possible.